Today again, we will continue for talk to some of the appointees them, and this morning we get for talk to the newly appointed and approved Chief Minister, and we also get for continue the conversation on the 6th Parliament. And we go get for Mohamed Bangura, Honorable Mohamed Bangura, we get for join we in at the studio at some point as well for get that conversation day. As always, we encourage you for be part of the program. Just go on our Facebook, search for AYV News, and use that platform there for be part of the program. You can put comments to your question, and we will take time at some point for read some of them question and comments. And but we are with a big maintain respect, keep them respectful, and we go able to read out some of our messages them. This program sponsored by Rokel Commercial Bank.
Exactly, and as we always can say, we appreciate comments and opinions them on the platform, and we can disagree for agree, but we just need for do them respectfully. We want to welcome and introduce our guest, the Chief Minister, Dr. David Moinina Sengeh. Good morning, Mr. Minister, and welcome to the program.
Good morning, thank you.
Congratulations on your appointment.
Thank you.
And as it seems, it's be the youngest chief minister we don't get.
Yeah, so far.
Yeah.
Hopefully the next one will be even younger.
Hopefully. But you know, this appointment in the last administration, you lead the president in Flagship program where now the free quality education, and now you are the chief minister. What in these appointments mean for you as an individual?
As an individual, like Gladys, I feel honored and feel very excited. I actually quite relaxed. Yesterday, my sister Moinina hosted said, "Oh, Moinina, yes, so much expectation, the pressure, beaucoup, all Mondays." And I told her, I said, "No, I actually relaxed. I'm very relaxed. I'm okay. I'm glad, and I feel very honored."
Was this something you were looking forward to, for play that role there as somebody who very close to the president and you know, as chief minister, that role where you coordinate perhaps and you know, liaise with other ministries? I mean, is this something you were looking forward to, or it come unexpected?
Personally, they apply for chief minister work. Personally, they pray for chief minister work. God, and we tell God thank you, and President Bio. So I wasn't expecting it, no. But I've always been ready. I always feel like I'm ready for rise to any occasion and contribute. Once the opportunity comes, I see and say, this is a big opportunity for help deliver the president's vision, for help continue for implement it in the world where I've been on to do. In terms of being close to him, me not being first where I come in, being chief innovation officer and advisor, and I spend lots of time with them. And then for lead the flagship program also, we do a lot of work locally and internationally. So not to be, even if I've been in the MBSSC, I know for don't be, I'm not being far away from the decision making on the flagship, but I'm not being the expecter.
What are the work of the chief minister in government?
I think it don't differ and change. In 1956 to 61, the first chief minister, Samuel Timagai Bindidi, in work now being for lead government, to turn prime minister. And so the equivalent then, it moved from chief minister to prime minister. And then after we become a republic, the chief minister position have been there because we get prime minister. And then ultimately we became one party state. And until President Bio came back, he held the chief minister position. Between 2018 and now, we don't get two previous chief minister there. And the role differ a little bit, but mostly coordination. The first chief minister being really focused on coordination and interministerial, and the second one being very much involved in doing and delivery and like as a unit. And I think for me, I did take this role here as for help the president and the vice president for deliver on with priorities and with flagship program there, the Big Five. And secondly, for remove the bottleneck from the company minister there Luckily, I don't be in government for the last 5 years at the highest levels, and so I understand some of them bottleneck than they. So I for able to help them for remove the bottleneck, and then really for facilitate the relation between government and the people by supporting all man.
Sometimes the relationship between, even within the government, from one ministry to the other, or one ministry or other, between the MDs can be challenging. You would pick out something, then you take onto one person, say, not to me work. Now, so other person. But would they lead the collaboration discussion, say, okay, we then at the sector, let's sit down and figure out a plan and how we do it. That has been a challenge.
Yes.
What thing you go do in your new role as chief minister for eliminate that way, go also help with for speed up development?
I think me as somebody we like peace and dialogue anyway, like you the Fed, I will still talk to you inside the Fed today. But I think say are lucky because President Bio choose a team we already not get a problem there. Just for example, yesterday the kind of meeting we're having here, the Minister and Deputy Minister of Fisheries and the technical team being there with the Deputy Minister of Defense and the ONS coordinator. We talk about something will involve joint maritime monitoring. And the dialogue, not so like, okay, this is for be power, and you already see this level of collaboration and coordination. So I'm really glad. And then I go to tourism, I go to the office. Just the rapport between the minister and the deputy minister was really inspiring. Like, now we all been the talk, but for many times they just look to themselves, then they talk, then they collaborators and they do. And the major problem, and this not something where President Bio no one to make happen. Now that minister and deputy minister then largely can get friction from previously, not that we own government, but before we see minister and deputy minister in the Fed physically. And certainly there are challenges. All man want for implement and cham inside something. But within this team, I really see the great collaboration between the minister and deputy minister there, so my work there will be easy. But in terms of responsibility, because, I can say hashtag we will deliver, because now we, not to you to deliver, not to that other person deliver, now we all get for deliver, and we commitments and we don't make inside the big five, inside the manifesto. If one person feels say we would do one, and not possible, and that we all know, the people that know, the relationship, it comes down to the personal relationship between people, and so Nalandia will have for
and that personal can affect the professional sometimes. They see instances where either the minister and the deputy they at loggerhead, power struggle or something, at the one ministry and one other agency, it just continue. And you look then sometimes it's the understanding of what's in that in your role and responsibility. How you they help the team of ministers for understand, because also you get some ministries them way then they focus on one arm and left the other arm. You get like Ministry of Lands and Country Planning. It's more of Ministry of Lands, the country planning aspect. We don't see how they plan the country. Like, how do you come in as the new chief minister for ease all of these?
Again, we tell President Bio thank you, and not so for just not so. I know they have for just to say President Bio. But if you look at the new Minister of Lands and the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Country Planning, the Deputy Minister expertise in housing. And so housing, you said you don't mention housing. People that may not forget housing with it. And so this Deputy Minister, and then they don't do, then they sabi. And the second thing where happened with the colleague minister there, this time, each minister and deputy minister get explicit administrative and professional responsibilities, such that in the case like yesterday again, I've been in tourism and culture. Often we can forget about culture, but the minister and deputy minister spends a lot more time telling me about culture and what they want to do than tourism. And so I really excited because then today we not problem we don't see. The team where President Biden puts together, they able to address that, and they just by its constitution.
But you still get some of the appointees them, aside from even ministers, some appointees them where you look at how then they perform and you wonder, this person understand in TOR, what's in job description.
I think in a lot of those instances, One, bureaucracy, the
You
play
workly
role.
extend to other appointees, or is it just
Not government,
ministers?
no, government. So one example, and this already don't happen with 2 different ministers, and not just how they work. So even when I'm in a ministry of basic education, me a minister, but I go talk to the assistant director. Typically, and I ask the assistant director for give me work, for do something for me and for answer to me. But in the typical bureaucratic system, I get for talk to me PS or me director general, we go talk to the director, we go talk to the deputy director, we go talk to the assistant director. Say you do that the months done. Me, I not believe in that day. Me, I come here ask you the assistant director, say would that work out, I want to see, I want to read that. So the challenge, but it will be an interesting challenge, with the ministries and with the heads of directorates, now that I will ask for information that we need to see. Certainly the ministers need to be aware, and not to say that for undermine the authority. With that person, they still get responsibility for talk to up the chain. But that doesn't mean say if President Bill or Vice President wants something or me wants something, when a deliverable we'll get at the manifesto, we're not go ask that person directly. And I hope say then self go do that day. It work for me, and it just the break out the bureaucracy chain. So when that happens, if you trust and believe say ill intention or they not just for do the work, then you need to take them personal. You need to take and say I want to undermine you, or this deputy director, they follow bureaucracy. Bureaucracy is good but if it becomes inefficient, then that's a problem.
Your age. Is it an advantage or disadvantage?
I think it is just what it is. It's in Salone, like I can say, the median age in Salone at 19. So I mean a big big man for a 19-year-old picking there, you know, and yet some of my very, very good friends, like Samabanya is in the 90s, and me in the text all the time, and so it's what it is. I think we get a diverse set of experience, but it means say because Asabi the vibes now the streets and are able to hang out with the young man there in the same way and carry myself with respect and authority for the big one there.
You mentioned the 2 previous chief ministers. One concentrates on coordination, delivery as well. What thing you get for do differently, in this role?
I think I really not like compare in general, but I think for me, what thing I want for do, my primary goal now for President Bio, for Vice President Julia Jallo, this government deliver. That big 5. Me I like deliverable. Me I like for deliver. See that will be the last time na MBSSC. All the manifesto for MBSSC I've been getting at the keep track at the monitor. So we get for publish this in real time. On after cabinet on Wednesday, the minister they all stay for another 2-3 hours, and we all discuss on the ministerial performance. We all agree on the thing that we'll get for monitor we self on, and I will get for publisher every 6 months. One thing with the ministerial performance with the indicators with the publisher every 6 months.
Public documents?
Publicly.
So what you're saying is you assess the ministers them on their performance, on the deliverables, and the public will understand how they perform?
Publicly. And I think not to media assess. Now we all sit down, I share, I talk to the president and the vice president, I talk to the head of cabinet secretariat, I say, I think yes, okay, we agree. Then we all sit down as ministers. We list the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, I think 13 or so. Here are the variables, here's the metric, here's the indicator, here's the evidence. And we agree, we say every 6 months we'll publish it. So not the media assess in so much that me not compile they compile, which all man don't do.
Who do they assess?
The president. After we then provide the information, we put out the scorecard for each ministry. We give the presidents, and the presidents then go determine what they do with that information there.
So far, since you get this job, you seem to be hands-on, moving within ministries engage in as well? Is that part of the assessment for work with them? You go into the ministries, work with them, understand what they're doing, for able to assess them and know which they able to deliver?
It's less for assess and more for remove the bottleneck.
Okay.
So if you go na ministry and so take e-building, right? Oh man, they complain about e-building. If you know they go e-building for see how e-building town like, you can't feel the urgency around how for clean e-building and waiting for do. So when you go there, you see them, and then you're able to take action. Tomorrow, the ministers of tourism, then they get Boku volunteer, they go clean the beach. Mr. will go there. If I go there that morning, I go join all man with the volunteer for clean the beach. I will understand what he mean. And I hope say citizens then also participate in these governance approaches. I not believe maybe that did the age advantage. Me, I want for the streets. I want for go play ball. I want for go volunteer for clean the beach. I want for go claim step. For go claim 7 stairs of step. Not a problem for me. So I really for just get the work done.
The delivery, the performance, we una dey assess. What's the intended impact? I ask because over the years, you go get ministers or government appointees, not necessarily in ministries, where when you talk to the public, will tell you, say, this person they underperform seriously in that office day, but yet he's still there at the office. So what's the point of the performance track? Well, now they keep of them, and then what happens to the one that we underperform?
I think ultimately waiting with a monitor, where they assess somebody, the reason we make it they assess somebody now for give feedback, for see how you go improve, and waiting for do more of or less of. For me, the hope is because we do one in real time, we're not going to get to the part where somebody they underperform. We get responsibility. So one of the indicators now on citizens and stakeholder engagement. So how many times the ministry, not just the minister, but the leadership of the ministry engage with the press and the media and with citizens? How many town hall meetings they get? How many 10 in Kana radio, SLBC, YV 98 or that one? How many 10 then go to the MOIC, then press conference? Because we get a responsibility for engaged citizens. Then they now for correct so that it not go be an issue where they say, that ministry, they not even connect, not sabi what's in the happen. So now for correct then they. Another one percentage completion of projects. We can really say Boku ministry, then they get Boku donor money, but then they use that. And if we monitor and you say, you get Boku, you get 200 million, but not only 7% utilization after 1 year. That means what's in the happen? You need to do changes. We'll not go sit down till wait after 5 years, then we say, hey, you been get 300 million, you know, use all this thing where the country need. The point about these, not so much as punitive in terms of waiting go happen, how person perform President Bill, and I get that responsibility, and I appoint we all. For me, the point is not that for highlight and discuss with the ministry for say, yeah, here's ABCD that we can do better for help we for deliver. You go to assess yourself? Yourself the part of that list of assessment? Sure. President Bill and MVP Jewel go assess me. But on these things, so one parameter is on cabinet papers. Because the point about cabinet and ministers is policy development, and for bring camp policy into cabinet really not how the governments they run. Myself, they bring cabinet papers. So if one variable now the number of cabinet papers they bring, myself, these assessments are now make what we agree, but we agree on the indicator and the metric. So not supposing in opinion though, if the one the number of senior management meeting we they have. So one on administrative. We all agree say we need to get weekly leadership meetings. So ministers, deputy ministers, permanent secretary and DG weekly. And if you not get time, the minutes go show. So not to David Sengeh, they can't say, why make you not do that day?
You get an indicator on transparency and accountability?
Absolutely. And in fact, one of the indicators now on audits, the memorandum of issues, a major issue in governance has always been that every time we audits can are the same. You see, say, Boku ministry, they don't even do it, waiting them, say them for do last 10 and the year before. And the percentage of implementation on those memorandum of issues is always very low. This could be an indicator. The goal for every ministry now that audits, for say audit query, not a bad thing in general. If not bad thing, it will lead to ACC, right? That's there. But the point of an audit now for make sure, say, there are efficient systems, there are gaps and lapses on saying the person cannot meet minutes of your management meeting. It tell you, say, there were no minutes formed. So not a bad thing that then tell you and give you that feedback there. But now your responsibility for make sure, say, next time you do that thing they wouldn't advise you. So audit implementation is one of transparency. The second one on data. So a lot of saloon don't do bakutin. Now if we just monitor, and the reason we make, for example, in education, we've been heavy on data. We know how many, the gender parity, we know all things. It means say will they engage at UNESCO level or MCC level. MCC girls completion in education will be over 90-something%. Public expenditure 100%. But other thing than the indicator than they will be much better than actually we say we did pan the reports because you know they provide the information. So in terms of transparency, MCC, the DPU, then for World Bank, CPIA for Ministry of Finance, EITI, now with responsibility for provider information.
You know, with the ministers them then get agencies them within the supervise and all that, and you get people in a them position and the presidents appoint them as well. Sometimes you can get conflicts about independence and autonomy. Then self cover of this tracking, or now the minister then they take responsibility.
It's a very good point in the discussions. There's accountability and responsibility. There's the minister accountable. This now, the minister as a leader. The law in those acts tell you explicitly whose ministry the department and agency then they report to. So the minister has an accountability, and if the person they do in responsibility as the head of an agency, and you can't tell me, you can't tell VP, you can't tell President Bill, and then we go facilitate and try for address that problem there.
Okay, and the issue about funds, we don't get ministers and they can talk about the plan, but they can say all let's say if able do and need the resources, and they've been complaining about allocation of funds, late disbursement. I'm sure Ministry of Education, we been the basic education safe, they get them challenges, and is that part of ensuring that they get what they should get to be able to deliver as much as soon as they assess and track them? Ministry of Finance, and it's a good question. I'll engage them on whether in their strategic plan they get allocate responsiveness. So good points. I'll take that there, and I will make sure the Ministry of Finance puts that the strategic plan, which is on responsiveness and allocation. But I think when it comes down to it, sorry, I'm just writer. When it comes down to it, one of the other indicators then we get for measure ministries and on ability for bringing grants and money. So government budget not that beaucoup, $1 billion, not beaucoup. And the reason why I'm making that beaucoup now because of the size of the economy. So the responsibility of we all have a growing economy. All of these big five feeds into President Bio's ambition that 2035 will become middle-income country than an expanded economy. If the economy expanded, the government budget expands, then more money they do for the ministry there. Yet, each ministry for go and bring money, different. Education, you go able to count 200 million, but social welfare maybe no we will bring 200 million, but it will bring 60 million or 70 million.
And I think it's okay that we hold the ministries responsible for bringing money and not just finance for do revenue mobilization and then MDA then win a revenue generating. So yes, would hold finance responsible for allocation and responsiveness, thank you. And secondly, would expect that ministries will become grant recipients as well.
Well, one other issue, with the ministries or agencies has to do with, issues about how then they spend their own money. You get some institutions that are independent and get a waiver for spending their own money. Or even with ministries, there's been cases of a certain ministry, other people then go complain saying that the minister no more they travel. Now no more they attend programs. The other minister then they not be them. So how do you manage that? In terms of how who goes where, who represents salients where, how do we manage these funds? Like you say, the economy is small, the money is small, how do we manage it? How you track that as well?
Yeah, it's very interesting because I think the letter don't go out now, or they go out today. We ask, say, would I then get for go hunger? Now, this is really just coordination. Each ministry, each head of agency has, SDG 16, 17 plus. And these ministers have the agency and the responsibility for engage globally. So if they engage somebody, then they get side meeting and they invite you, that's good. But we need to coordinate and know who that they outside and they. It's also possible that now the partner then they pay all the same for you, so government of Salona they pay. And sometimes, even if the partner then they pay for you, it's okay that you don't go. So what will they do this time? And will they start with hunger? I mean, now with the few trips who don't do the president, it's very efficiency, right? All possibly go now without way import the need for dating. I'll give you an example. We'll go Rome for World Food System stock take. Other ministers them in the and entities and they will get direct invitation for go. But President Bio decide for say he will be there as head of the delegation. I will be there, and the head of the food systems person being there, we now the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, and the technical person for agriculture, Dr. Kwaka, at that point, not to be minister yet, Cam. That was it. And we each had multiple roles to play. The president talk, Usai they talk, Atokusa they talk, the food systems people then talk, Usai then they talk, Dr. Kwaka meets the people then where they meet, and we continue. We'll go to Arusha to the Human Capital Development Summit. Dr. Kwaka and they will then stay in Rome and then can salon directly in Arusha, the president and me, because then the High Commissioner go meet with them. We'll then go ECOWAS, the president and the Minister of Foreign Affairs. And I think we as a government, not to say we know one for be efficient too, but the lack of efficiency often came from lack of proper coordination and open communication.
And part of that coordination, what are your strategy for make we adequately utilize all we manpower within government, particularly with foreign mission? The ambassadors, the high commissioners, how you intend for utilize them in a way where even the trips, the travelings, especially the one that it's government funded, there would be a scale.
Again, then two trips, then we don't do explicit examples. The mission from Germany, 9 days in charge of Rome, was fully involved and present in these things, hence we didn't need everybody. In Rwanda, the ambassador to Kenya is not Rwanda, in Tanzania. The ambassador to Kenya is responsible, and she was there, and so she came and was. I think so. We just need for doing our habits, we need to all learn these things and change as a country. And within me, I assure you and the people then say, we've not been perfect in the past too. These are systems that are rooted in how people think, but we are committed for make sure say we will change. We are committed for make sure say we will bring efficiency into government, coordination in government, and deliver.
Back to the area of budget allocation, for some of these MDAs, we don't get them there, we don't get conversations with EDSA and Guma Valley. So, now in budget, then get money there for pay, then utility bills. But some of the MDAs, then are the greatest debtors then to EDSA and Guma Valley.
You know, it's good that you mentioned EDSA and Guma Valley and what they think about government budget. Light day, largely improved. But the amount of money we EDSA they collect, we citizens in the pay, because there's 40% loss in the system. Most time, all money go connect themselves. Now I'm going to meet 9 days. When that happens, the country loses. Because when you go connect, then you don't pay your bill. It means, and already the amount of money we government they pay for provide power, is not able to raise through EDSA. So government then they subsidize millions, tens of millions of dollars in money we for don't use for go, for make road or for make hospital. And this is one of the most important things when me feel say as chief minister in being closer to the people. But make people understand say maybe it's okay that you feel say it's government if a thief lights here small, it don't matter. But that light where you thief, whether you feel that you want the thief, but we people then boku thief, it leads to millions of dollars where government for don't take for go make road. But you know they take now they go subsidize for pay for energy where you thief. So it means EDSA not able to raise enough money even for manage EDSA. Not, I mean, the governments they give money into this system. And then, same with ministries. I'll tell you, there's a period na MBSSC. So they make say now all the building they all get your meter, prepaid meter. And in the headquarters, in the HQ, the building where maybe in the, let me get arrears, boku money. So EDSA, Vexi, all the ministry there for pavers and then the hot lights for all man. So the hot lights that the whole New England, including the one there with the meter they pay because we get area. So we complain and say no, they don't give you the lights. Call Uncle Kanja. I say no, not for pay. Weeks. Anyway, we pay. But other, because we get projects with them pay for we. But other ministry, they're within the area, they don't get money like that day. So,
but it can be captured in the budget. Mostly that's what the problem is. It will be captured in the budget. They're part of the budget where they prepare.
Yeah, you're absolutely
but
right.
They're not they pay.
But you're absolutely right. And this is where the coordination, but this is where the coordination and the responsibility with the permanent secretaries as well come in and the people that will pay. Because, and this government is not just ministers. Government is ministers, the permanent secretaries, the technical people. For say, if you allocation for EDSA, if Ministry of Finance pay you allocation for EDSA, you're not going to use them for go do other thing. You go pay EDSA. And these are things that we just need to make sure we improve on.
Okay. I'll bring you into the issue as you talk about coordination with emerging issues presently. I see, possibly they engage a lot with young people on social media, even across the streets or any side you go. But there is this issue of, I see you tweet about recently, we get to do with drug abuse and kush. President Bill, you lead the team with human capital development, and now we're talking about feed salon. And for feed salon, you need people for work, you need people for going to farm and all of that. But if you get young people involved in this, it's worrying and concerning. What's in the government in strategy, or as chief minister, what's in the plan for address, drug abuse as it is becoming very alarming at this time?
I know one for it's not a war on drugs, but the government, this is not one area where we want to make sure, say, we really tackle. From a security point of view, if you think about drugs and lawlessness, in fact, the minister, being the Minister of Internal Affairs, you get one directorate for drugs and I think it's NDLA also, National Drug
Law Enforcement Agency.
Yes. They don't meet with them, they don't begin engage with them for see waiting they get for do, and waiting at them plan, what they get and how for support them. Me self go engage with them and for make sure say they are supported. Certainly the capacity low of the agency in terms of workforce, in terms of it's an element of the agency, it's an element of parenting, community, it's an element of government. I really think say the sad part, and I was reflecting on this the other day, is that we have not as a society treated this case with empathy. Then people in my area, they see people and they snap, then they sleep. And if I pass, I don't think I will give money to somebody here and there. But if I see say you know drugs is out, puts me glass down, I say, man, then if I give this not for go to drugs and you get a conversation, you build a relationship. We each, but if I don't want the video there, and because I find it very hurtful, and then they snap it in the sleep. And I think say if you as person you meet somebody snap the sleep, you snap a video, you make selfie panel. It is worse in many ways and helps perpetuate the problem, as opposed to for maybe when the person wake later on, you go say me man, then Tiana, your future the poil so.
But on the flip side, now because of them videos, then they don't plenty, we don't emerge, make we don't they understand the seriousness of the situation. I
think we maybe, but ultimately most people don't then go on and take action. So parts of it is we can be informative, let's say that's the case, and I hope that we are also taking action with the people for make sure say we help them for rehabilitate. Drugs and the people, it's a rehabilitation problem. It's an economy problem. It's a livelihood problem. And so, as you mentioned, with Feed Salon, if we can't grow 20, 30,000 hectares of land, it requires people to go and farm on them. It requires people to understand that farming, farming is a profession. It's something that we can all do. President Bill, a farmer, all day go and farm. That not to say if you go to a farmer, that means saying you whatever class or society or social. We need for many people to understand say farming is a profession that can bring you millions and millions of dollars and can expand our economy. Once that mental shift is there, then people then self go see who say you farm they want to go work na farm.
President Bio, in one of his tweets recently, referred to, after the cabinet meeting, a renaissance of people from diverse culture, diverse background, young people and women for change this country. And in the swearing in, he challenged the young people, and say there should be no excuses. It's time to deliver. And is this too much pressure on you and your colleagues? Because you say 2028, we're not for import rice again. That's a very, very strong commitment.
President being a man, we the member all team and na leader we ambitious. So in targets and way they set for they are not unreasonable. They are possible. He understands. He studied this. He knows that it is possible. And I think what we say we'll not get excuse is true. We really have no excuse but to deliver if we can work as government, if we can work as opposition, if we can work as citizens, as all men. It is possible that by 2028 we will not go be import rest. And I believe so that will happen. Is it pressure? No, I like it's exciting. It's like I say, I like deliver. I like get that checkbox day. Be goal that put correct inside that checkbox day. The day we are go President Bill say check. We know the import. I'll tell you something. I just learned this. Say refined palm oil. We know the import oil in this country.
Yeah,
we used to.
Zolak and the other companies.
Yes.
That are doing it.
So we've done it. We used to import oil. Now
we even export now, I think.
Yes,
we export
we
to
do.
the sub-region.
Yes, that's a good thing. This year, Baswe lost, and apparently, and I was trying to understand it, in the season, because most of the onions come from Europe, this month is always a period when it's actually low. And the problem or the issue, how they solved it in the past, was the buy lots to store. And this time, apparently, the Abbas in price changed 4 or 5-fold in Europe. And then the people that we are able to bring not to just here, globally. Now, we get farmer then, and I hope say many more farmer then go where they plant yabas. And I was talking to one of the people that in 2-3 years, we will not be importing onions in this country. So, oil, we are not importing oil anymore. Yabas, in 2-3 years, if we all go, plus people that already yabas farm, continue, we'll not go import yabas in this country. We will keep producing flour and other things in this country. Rice, that's our goal. We don't want to import rice. If you get yabas, you get oil, you get flour, you get rice, not imported. That would be a fantastic thing for this country. And President Bio has made us believe in this, and I believe in this. So we have no excuse but to make that happen.
The Big Five agenda with Feed the Nation, you've been, managed the Flagship program, and to a very large extent, the public was aware of waiting the free quality education thereabouts, waiting at the achievements, waiting at the challenges. How this Flagship program get for be like? How waiting at the programs, how people can get for begin, because when you come about feeds alone, if you say in 3 years I not for import this and for feed reserve, in 1 or 2 years I for expect say the country rest where they buy very expensive now should be cheaper in the market than the imported rice.
By the way, on the country rice, I learned because me that country rice had it. But cool, apparently other salon man and woman they don't like country rice.
It's expensive.
It's expensive.
It did pass the others.
So not to say that like they don't like
because it did pass.
But one of the reasons we make it there now that the people that when they come out Guinea in TNT, then they can't come here, then pre-finance the production of it, such that way down that Guinea they go. So we as government has to have better policies for make sure that maybe we self go pre-finance the production such that people then add in the seller. And these are areas, these are conversations that we had. Just last week, President Bill invited the Ministry of Ag for begin brainstorm. Sometime in October, President Bill will launch the feed salon strategy. Dr. Kwaka, Kande Yumkela, and Minister of Environment, they plan right now to come up with a very sustainable strategy. So in terms of waiting they need for do, as you said, no pressure to Dr. Kwaka, Oman Bangura, Radu Soiree, Amara Kalon, and Salima we then that the minister then we responsible for the Big Five. No pressure to them, but small pressure back. Plus we always did it. Now get responsibility for the communicates to we and tell we need to understand. Therefore they tell we every day what then they do for address them 52 specific deliverables and they for the checkbox every week. And
those things also somehow directly tied to livelihoods, we're connected to the economy. Waiting at the conversations you stir up for the appointees then would work in the sector connected to the economy, because we begin plans now you do this, you do that, but all of these things again comes back to affordability. The when I come on pepper we will not the import. There are times where people just they hike the prices such crazy ridiculous way you begin wonder what's the point. And you got people who will tell you say no, sometimes the market woman them back wicked to we. You talk to the economists, they say okay now the kind of economic structure or system or they operate on a free market economy. What's the conversation around this? Is it time for let we assess we economic system or the practice and see okay how do we change this? What's the conversation you're stirring?
I think you answered it yourself, which was what's the point? The point is the capitalism. The point is free market economy. I think, but the fundamental way you mentioned.
Should we leave it at that, or are you starting a conversation where let's sit together and see this is not working for us? Maybe we can try another system. Like, what's the conversation there?
The conversation is policies that shape the free market economy is shaped by policies. And I think the Ministry of Trade, the Ministry of Agriculture, and the Ministry of Finance, the bank governor, they have to have responsive policies that will promote local production, that will ensure that these goods are available to people everywhere, and that market woman, the reason we make it a high price, perhaps not because services, the cost of other services has gone up, and so she's trying to respond to those other costs, and so it's all interlinked. And to your point about the Big Five, a couple of people say, we are not serious because the Big Five not get economy. I'm like, well, I think so you don't understand properly that the Big Five is rooted on the economy, that when you feed saloons about the economy, they feed the roads, the agriculture, lowering imports and the foreign exchange, and if we begin to export, that comes in, that affects the economy. When we do skills development and human capital development, this ultimately increases the ability and capacity of the population. That's about economy and service. When you employ 500,000 people over 5 years, that's about economy directly. When you have efficient public administration and public management systems and service delivery to the people, that means people can access services quickly and efficiently. That's about the economy. And when you build technology and infrastructure to support how government services are delivered and how we transact, that is the economy. So there's nothing for the economy because all Big Five is about the economy. And I think it's our responsibility as the lawmakers, the citizens, the government, to ensure that we have the right policies in place, that we participate freely and fairly and remove corruption at the system. But so just take and I was learning this, right? So the machine ring system, and it's private sector, but they are not paying their own part. This is government invested. Government gave these machine ring people these machines to go and support farmers. But there are many examples where even they know they delivered the work couldn't do properly, and they have not owed up to their own responsibilities. Then it's not just government you're doing, right? So there's also this false perception that government, they kill private sector. It really is false, and I say it because sure, there are some mistakes that government has done, and one of the ways we're correcting it is that government will now have a predictable regime scheme for taxes and for guidelines that the Bank of Sierra Leone has. Maybe in the past it was too dramatic, but now it will be consultative and responsive. But there are mistakes in some of those things, but it's not because government wants to kill private sector. And I've said this, and one of the private sector people then come after me because I said this, and I will say this again. Reduced profits, not to losses. If they make 60% profit margin, and how the world day, and then government gets shrinking economy, and government decides to not make 60% profit margin again. More is this level as small, make 45% profit margin. And then you say, our government want kill we. That's free market economy and capitalism. That is not the loss. You're just making 45% profit margins. And until we as the public and private and citizens understand that we all have roles to play, the country won't go forward. And if government say they try for increase taxes here and there in ways that are not going to kill you, it is also not right for them go and begin holla all sides, say, oh, the government want kill we, now make them don't increase small tax here. Many of these tax regimes were people don't even pay.
But how do you engage as well, like you mentioned? That's that important. Because
we will do
with
that.
The Finance Act, we come out, the private sector say, no, we are not engaged on this.
I take responsibility. I'm speaking here as I in government. We take responsibility, and the one thing that I'll tell you will be different is that there will be no time in which we have those regulations coming forward anymore without engaging the private sector. That I can assure you.
Okay, let's take some messages, Phoebe, right? We get a lot of them.
Tons of messages on Facebook.
lot of them. The Chief Minister is here, so you'll possibly expect that. I will take the first one. Bill Ronnie says, please fix the electricity system and cheaper internet so young people can learn faster and do business online. I believe in you, CM.
Lance Anasise says, you have to take your time the way you talk, because I believe that all what you're saying, tomorrow you will come back and put the talk on the war in Ukraine.
Sadu Jalo says, I hope when citizens ask for clarification about government traveling, it's not poor man mentality, as former foreign minister referred to citizens for asking questions.
Samuel Fenty Sise says, in Sierra Leone, policies are well talked about, but implementation is something else.
Swissman says, Chief Minister, what you're going to do is to make sure that we have sufficient fish in the market. Since onions is coming from abroad, I know that fish is not coming from abroad, but our market is running dry without fish. Possibly an engagement with the Ministry of Fisheries.
Ture Ibrahim Sori says, my question is that what are the chances that if we start to produce rice and onions, the price will reduce, when fuel price is the one that normally affects the increased nature of all other prices?
Ronald Beresford Johnston says, another task for you is to break the cabals who control rice importation for decades, Mr. Chief Minister. Do that for the better of Sierra Leone and for the farmers.
Swissman is asking, Chief Minister, what are you going to do to make sure that we have sufficient fish in... Oh, sorry, you read that already.
Yes, Issa Kuma says he's the first person to fly medicine to a remote area not motorable.
James Wanga says there is a need to improve inland valley swamps within the country and develop the swamps.
Another one here is, remember you said that by 2028 we won't import rice. The jury is out there, Mr. Minister. I wish you luck. Seeing is believing.
Yusuf Barakaforewa says, keep it up, Chief Minister. You are indeed an inspiration and a step to follow.
Kini Musa, Mr. Chief Minister, in your past Facebook post, you pose a challenge of betting against, calling on people, encouraging people to work with the government. How are you going to change the economy from double digits to single digits?
Muhammad J. Khan is asking, I want to know if the government is the one going to grow our rice or it's the private sector.
Another one here reads, remember, however good your aims are, there are those who will see you as a threat to their enterprise, especially if they know it's their last chance of making their selfish interests before 2028. You must be hard on such ministers or civil servants who might want to take the law into their hands because the leopard never changes its spots. Remember, I told you so, young man.
Sorry. Sadu Jallo is asking, Mr. Chief Minister, what's government going to do to block wastages and become more efficient in managing government fund? Kabenje says, but sir, tax paid by citizens understandable, but when they're excessive, it tends to be immoral. Imagine taxing interest on a poultry pension payment eating accounts of senior citizens, despite equally poultry salary compensation for one's lifetime. Umaru Mohammed Gassama says there is a need to involve into greenhouse farming technology for sustainable vegetable production, especially during off-season farming.
Sadu Jallo is asking, doesn't the role of Chief Minister create confusion and duplication of efforts, especially with the office and functions of the Vice President?
Ibn Hamid Jr. Tamba Rashid says, when a wise man speaks, his message cushions the burden of the hopeless. If I have the power to choose, elect or select a president, it could be Dr. Moinina Sengeh.
The Chief Minister, Alhaji Amakibe, says the Chief Minister is a modern and futuristic-minded person. The world we live in now is digital and data-driven, so having someone in this strategic role is a win for this government and country. My question is, Dr. David Moinina Sengeh, you are a friend of Bill Gates. Do you plan on engaging him to invest in Sierra Leone?
Alfred Kanu is asking, please ask Doctor if the free quality education will continue as promised by President Bio.
Jibril Kamara says, Mr. Minister, the past government had performance tracking for ministers, and there were some ministers who were coming openly to challenge the people who were doing that work. What will be the consequences if someone doesn't perform their deliverables? What's the outcome of that as you are accountable to us, the public?
Sunday Atuketa is asking, well, he says, they cannot grow ordinary onions. How can they rise?
Another one I'll take. Trust if this goes on well, there will be a lot of replacement during this 5-year tenure. Great ideas from a great mind, Dr. Sengeh.
Michael Moana Gandhi says the Gambia-Guinea rice issue is a major challenge in the rice sector. Let's put policies in place to mitigate those challenges. We will deliver.
The final one I'll read is from Jibril Tula. It says, now we have less information about basic education since the minister left. We've not been informed about Becker and the other exams. What is happening?
Peter S. Musa says, Mr. Chief Minister, what are your plans for digitalizing all the MDAs to a single system for proper management? We'll just limit the messages to these, and we apologize for the messages we've not read out.
We can't see all of them. There are many here.
What your response to those?
Yes, thank you. I think there's lots of talks about we'll wait and see and we'll believe. I think it's not about waiting to see. It's what can you do to be part of this process. And I also say can't join we. When I say can't join we, not to say can't join we na SLPPO, some of we the SLPP that they. But when I say can't join we for deliver and for help this country I go before. That means opposition, that means you who's just sitting at home, who's watching. It's not enough to wait and see whether we'll deliver or not. Because if we're able to plant rest, that we all get for benefit. And beyond that, there is value for make yourself make money. And that's what I mean by can't join. If you go plant onions farm now, you go plant rest farm, all they done, they are best for don't do if you've been planting and harvesting. The people who planted here sold what they harvested within 2 weeks, it was finished. So I want citizens to see this as an opportunity for them to grow their own lives, the lives of their families and their community, and ultimately the country. I agree on policies, and it's about implementation of policies. In fact, in the tracking, we do count policies, and we also count the percentage of those that you implement. So it's not just about bringing the cabinet paper, it's how many of those you ratify, and how many of those turn into laws and acts, and how many of those get implemented. So people will be assessed and tracked on the implementation. You know, again, back to people just understanding, and I didn't know this. So I was, in terms of fish, I heard a lot about the Black Johnson thing. So all kind thing they will hear, but government want kill tourism, government want do this, government want do that. Today in Sierra Leone, 40 of the boats who are licensed to fish with us never come to Sierra Leone because we don't have a harbor big enough to host them. They go to Senegal. 40 tuna fishing boats don't come here who fish in our waters. The point about Black Johnson was that we can have a bigger harbor that comes, that we will be able to get more revenue and more fish, and then we can't let fish now, and then we'll give you revenues. And I learned from people that from the parties that it was not a built-up place. Okay, sure, government may have done one or two things out of sequence at the time, different entities in government, but it is inherently good for the people of this country. And yet, and now that they say this, I sure say we're going to be Twitter, just know all about can attack me, the people that will be the attack for that day. And the question becomes, how do we do investments that are environmentally safe?
I think that has been the question about the environmental issues around Black Johnson.
Yes, and that those environmental issues are explicitly there for people, and that there were public disclosures and opportunities for people to engage. So it is not about the ideas. It is that if you hold us accountable as government, we as a people hold each other accountable. The question becomes, how do we do these investments in ways that will lead to growth in economy for all, not to just one person? And this not to Chinese man, for we Salon people there. And how are you as citizens, locals, they are going to benefit? So I think with these investments that government will do, these opportunities, there will be a lot more increase in economy. We have to support and look at price control. The Minister of Tourism, Trade, this is something that he's up for. They already are engaging with citizens. And perhaps finally on the private sector, I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I started companies when I was a teenager, when I was in college. I understand private sector. I teach entrepreneurship and innovation at the university. I've taught hundreds of students at FBC and beyond. So I understand what entrepreneurship and private sector is, not to theory. I don't start company there. I don't work in the private sector. I think I also understand what Fabian was saying about the free market and capitalism and how it's possible for some people to just want to make money for themselves and not think about society and the environment. It is time for young people, for this generation of young people, to understand that entrepreneurship has a social responsibility. We can make money. They should make money because that grows the economy, but they should not make money at the detriment of the population. That it's okay for me to make money, but may not make that dirty money now when you want to go get all things where people they not get nothing. So if government in this case says, okay, more tax you small without killing you, without limiting your ability to create more jobs for other people, it's okay. And I think what you're saying, that there needs to be dialogue, there will be dialogue. But for me, we do this transformation here for Salone. We all get for sit down, we look ourselves and say, look, I understand what you're doing, I understand where you're going, and here are some ways in which you can get money, and Forex from BSL will support you to do that, which we have, by the way. During COVID, we provided a facility of about $10 million for people to draw down on. We have, when people are trying to buy oil and gas, we give them, we create relationships with Bank of Sierra Leone. So it's not like government doesn't do this. But most they'll say, okay, yeah, government's go do this. Yeah, but you know this, now this policy, yeah, no, a big, now for pay you revenues. Why is it that revenue fluctuates at the borders? Because people don't declare, because people want to keep everything to themselves. The day, and this is not a Salone problem anymore, a global problem, but we not Salone. The day where we sit down and say, okay, may we really put Salone first, may we really care about Salone, may we really understand, say, that money the way I go make. Make I not pull on a government in hand, because if we go in a government, we believe the government in this case go also spend that efficiently and effectively, and governments go make road. So the time we governments go begin make the road, and this is what we want to do, we based on an assessment of needs. The time we governments go able to build health facility based on an assessment of needs. With the money, where will they get, where will they raise revenue and grow the economy? I think we will meet with targets. But by 2035, we will be middle income country. And I believe that.
Okay. Somebody when they ask about the performance stuff and what will be the outcome, you know, it predicate to also somebody go challenge, you know, what will be
like
the
somebody
result.
like other minister challenge. Yeah. Like I said, now we all developer. This is not to me, not to David Sengeh can't. That tell us, me not to SP, me not to SP for minister there. Me not somebody will just the facilitate the minister their work. Now we all agree on them and they, so they don't go challenge her. And the inputs, the data not from there, they come out.
Okay, and we need for round up with you, right, Fabian? And the issue about, you know, the role of the office of the chief minister and what you they do. The issue of decentralization is very important. We talked to the minister of local governments, and there are issues about devolving functions. Is that something you will focus on? Because it's very important as well for get local government and for work properly as part of the governance structure.
Yeah, you see President Bill, the Minister of Local Government, President Bill, a chief, right? So you understand the whole thing about decentralization, and this is something that he's wanted to do. But the Minister of Local Government has built such a rich knowledge over the last 5 years and understands the intricacies of decentralization. Even in conversations around budget, he's still bringing it up. So he's a proper advocate. It's not to wait in a radio no more. All sideways they bring kind of this issue. And I think we have to do it. I think ministers, and not to minister them problems, to be honest, at the director then, at the permanent secretary then, not the power and the control. It has for left power and control at all levels. And we have to make sure that this happens by leading with example. Some of that is budgetary. So if the Ministry of Finance, the local financing department, local government finance department, send the money to the local government, send the money go reach there, then it devolves by definition, right? So we'll have to think about ways in which we use finance to devolve the functions. because we say money and the people then the day.
The president, talk about the last time, talk about, the challenges we possibly as young people and get for face bureaucracies, people and we don't use for do them their own way. As chief minister, you prepare for address something and then?
I think luckily and the one thing we presidents also talk about are the intergenerational, right? We get 10 people who are 40 and below, probably equal who are 40 to 50. It's a very distributed, well-distributed, normal distribution of these, of the demography. I think as young people, we have assets that elderly people don't have. As elderly people, they have assets that young people don't have. One major one, you get young people that will get beaucoup experience and depth of experience. You get, but largely in public sector, the elderly people in the team have deep public sector experience. I mean, it's such a beautiful cabinet in terms of diversity. Take the Minister of Planning. Used to be here, worked in the SAPA program with Uncle Kanja then. Those guys were all there, and went to the globally African Development Bank, led things in the sub-region, and now back in planning. That level of experience from starting a program here during post-war that went everywhere with NACSA and all of that to being global, her level of experience is so vast that I will rely on her to help me engage and to help me understand some things. But I'm sure Salima will rely on her. Take Uncle Kanja, Minister Kanja, from NACSA days to being Minister of Energy now for 5 years and more. He's continuing. His level of experience with the private sector is so deep that I don't see a reason why we can't rely on him. But you also take somebody like Keketama, who has been in government. He's and around the presidency. He has a deep sense of knowledge and understanding that somebody like Alpha Sise, who's a minister, will rely on. So there's going to be a lot of cross and intergenerational knowledge exchange, and that's what makes this so exciting.
Somebody may ask about the Ministry of Basic Education. Say from where you left the information on the floor.
Conrad is a wonderful guy.
So what's next with the free quality education?
It continues. They're going to do well. Maybe it's okay. We all know our government, but they just won, I think, $49 million in GPE grant with variable parts. I think it's 40 million, can extend to 49 million, but I'm sure they will hit the $49 million. So congratulations to MBSSE on that. They're not to stop. They will just keep rising and rising, the MBSSE, because the people are the same.
Okay. Well,
what's going to be your efforts in terms of the connection between the country itself and our Sierra Leoneans living in the diaspora? Oftentimes when we have conversations, even from maybe social media platforms, you go see someone in the comments, they just want to be involved in some ways, but sometimes they find themselves challenged with, it's Alex said he does the all way there for past two, they're sealed.
I think it is also just how we communicate. People communicate. I get beaucoup party there. But if you can't tell me, say, nothing better, not they happy in a salon, it's just like, I beg me brother and sister, not to so it be like, just come here, can. But then buy plane tickets, can't see no more talk. I think I also don't want to trivialize the realities that these are real. But you know, the way they would in America or outside, we can't expect that it's the same. It is on us to fix the problems. But many of these people want the problem to be fixed before they come. That's not the point. The point is that problem deal, now make we can, now make me idea. You go one for kind get you show them blackouts day, or then the switch day you get for generator. That's the reality of the country. So you go say, no they can't, because if I want to do me show self, we see make the lights go, we see lights go no more and so when I fix the lights before I can. I do think that we have lots of talent who are Sierra Leoneans everywhere. and the president always meets with this talent. It is on that talent for can we understand, so you ever get lower pay, you ever take pay cut to, you ever get blackouts, the road bad, the health facility challenging, water sometimes water not the day, the public toilets are not the toilet. It's all true. And that is exactly why you must pack your bags and come home to help us fix it. It's and then I go say, "Bo, we not want open door for we and this." I get Paddy David Manley. We run for MP. He volunteer, a lawyer, he trained, he do what he can. He say because I can. He volunteer for 5 months, no pay. I don't even think so. Pay the backlog. It's not good. It's not like we're saying it's a wonderful thing. I worked for many months before I was paid. It's not like it's. We're not proud of it. It's just where we are. But it's us who have to fix it. When I say we, the country, we have to fix it. And if you feel like you're paid 6-figure jobs, 6-figure salary, and thus, if you can't salary, you expect 6-figure, and it may be. But we invite you for as private sector. You can come as private sector, you can make farm, you can make beaucoup money, you can't make Yabas farm. You will make beaucoup money, pass the money when they pay you. Will it mean that you have to go up your building, lift not the pan and beaucoup, and you get for hats you say lift not the and all? Yes, it means that day. So I think my approach to the people in the diaspora, the president wants you to come. We want you to come. We understand your value. Yes, there are challenges in Sierra Leone. Yes, we all get for sit down on this boat here with the water rough. It's true. Yes, you don't want to pay some of those things because you feel like it's unjust. It is true. But the only way this country gets fixed is if you can't join with.
You know, other countries, Phoebe mentioned, other countries, you know, they see the diaspora at the fifth, you know, arm or so. A lot of engagement, the expertise and in policies and programs. Is there any intention for like get a program working with the diaspora community?
I think let's wait to see what some of the programs are. I don't want to speak to what they want to do. I think the Minister of Innovation has really good plans for people with in the diaspora, in the tech and innovation, and because mostly what they can't do for them, for we. She has really good plans. I do think, you know, the president is always saying, put a list together of people who you meet. He's saying that. And that's a list of people who can come back and contribute. But we'll come back, we have to, we get for reorganize ourselves. For no say.
You say for lower expectation.
Not to expectation or the lower. We just need for no say the reality different. Okay. I still expect say water day. I still expect say all public toilets for clean. I still expect say lights for day. Those expectations.
But if you know they for beer.
Yes, if you know they no say that they make now you can't help for fix that problem there. That's the difference. Yeah. I expect to salute for the like America or past America self.
Your office in any way cover as well the foreign missions them. You know, Phoebe be asked a very important question about you do the roles and responsibilities as well. How do we make use of them?
I think the Minister of Foreign Affairs and I were speaking the other day, and he has some plans. He and his team have plans for that. My role is to support the minister then for do anything they want for do. Well, my role is for support the minister then for do what President Bill say for do. Maybe that's the better way to do it. And President Bill wants us to have efficient foreign missions, so we will have efficient foreign missions.
Let's get one thing clear for proper understanding. Part of your responsibility, do you also help these government appointees, these presidential appointees, for set the agenda on deliverables?
I do, and that's a conversation, and part of that also is facilitating it. I know what the president is saying. They all read the manifesto. I can look at the manifesto. I know it's in its importance to the government. I can say, yeah, maybe for this or that thing, oh, President Bill say, what's about that? Have you done that? Oh, can you look at that? So that's in some ways looking at the priorities. But our priorities are on our National Development Plan when it's ready, which Minister of Public and planning is working on. And it's going to come from our commitment to the people. People voted for us because of our manifesto commitments. And we will make sure that we deliver on the manifesto commitments. There are many other distractions or emergencies or things that come into play. My job is to help us to be like you to do something and okay, for the see this, I want to check boxes, President Bill want to check boxes, and it's making sure that, so it's priority setting, engaging with people to make sure that things don't fall by the wayside.
Mm-hmm. It's, you know, we burden you with a lot because, again, the office where you don't occupy, for some of the appointees, them, it seems, when they set them, plan them, some of them don't seem to understand a short-term goal and a long-term goal. So you go find some appointee and they work on one thing where probably would take 10 years to accomplish, and then there's nothing on short-term goal where you can show, say, okay, now this and this I don't do. But it's the same conversation over and over. No, I plan for do this way. It's something that's going to take 10 years. How do you help guide them? I
think by, as you say, just for be the guy, we will be how you call it, the old recorder, just rewind. Hey, look this so, look this so, look this. I think we have to understand, as you said, that in as much as we have a goal to 2035, we have a commitment to 2028, which is what we said to the people in the manifesto, and we have a commitment for tomorrow, next week. Maybe if the price change next week, when the subsidy is removed from fuel, what does that mean? How does that affect prices? How does it affect the society? How does it affect the economy and the government's ability to raise revenue, to be able to do and deliver other services? How to respond to the opposition? How to respond to people who misinterpret what government does as their own work? All of this is part of the work that we do.
How you monitor them, plans them before implementation? Because some people don't even get plan to start with. Some man get plan, but in mind they think say this is the right road for arrive at the destination.
Sure.
But probably you would look at it and say, in as much as you get good intentions, this could not be the right way. How you monitor them plans there before they even get to action for minimize time wasted?
The Bible and the manifesto for now, so they all get a copy of the manifesto, hard copy and soft copy. Me, I get time before me, I look at every day. I check box the more I want for the CSI day. I check box because now President Bill wants, so then I'm gonna make President Bill and VP Julia Jallo Gladdy. That's it. Check boxes.
But that's the manifesto promise of the president in plan. But then for the appointees them, for can effect the plan, it's like you come out AYV, you want go all the way Ferry Junction. You drive and you say, no, pass Kisi Road or Phoebe Road. But you they think say no, if we pass Hill Coast bypass, in short how they arrive quicker. As in checking for make sure say yes, the goal is there for achieve this. But the road where you want pass for go achieve them. This could be the right road or the wrong road, this takes longer.
We do that and it's in conversation, like I said, it's just back and forth. Yesterday the National Emergency Medical Services been there to me. The amount of stuff that they've done is incredible. They don't walk in terms of ambulance, then the kind of life them we don't save. I think they've done somewhere like 80-something thousand missions over the last 4 years. Incredible. You look at the number and things that they've done. And, you know, they have plans. And there's plans that we'll discuss with their ministry, but I think I can help ask questions. Some of it, my job is to ask questions. I like ask questions though. Yeah, I like ask questions. So me don't work now, but ask questions no more.
Would it be fair if we get underperforming government appointee, they can't blame you for that? Being that on that level, you're not an immediate boss.
Ultimately, we take responsibility for government's delivery. I don't want to go to President Bio and say, President Bio, sorry, sir, I will not deliver what you want to. I don't want that. It's not me. It can't be me. Because it won't be me. It won't be me. That me, I don't go to them for President Bio and say, we'll not deliver for you, pa. It's fair, because I will have to do that. And if you see something, you hear something, make man know. I will call that person. Like where you give that idea, they work come here, they go to Minister of Finance. I said, Minister of Finance, we go for evaluate to now for budget disbursement, and I will take action. So if you see something and citizens do, let me know.
So you know the approach where I see you the push is getting citizens involved in the process, even in planning, in implementation. How are you going to get people involved? It's a process. We get a system where, to some extent, the trust in people in politics is somehow low. People think everybody in politics are just for making money and all of that. It's not service really to country and nation. How are you going to build this trust of the public? Like if somebody gets information, he will call you or message you, say this is what is happening.
I think that talking do no more. We will talk with one and see. You don't tell me this. I don't talk. Where I go, the good one. It's there are some people who, it no matter how you talk and do one, they're not going to listen to you. They won't believe you, and that's okay. It's not. The goal is not to get 100% of people to trust you. I have a coach. I have a leadership coach that I've had since I was back in college. And there's something that we can say about trust. I trust you about your coffee taste because I know your coffee, but I don't trust you about football because I know since I play ball past you. Right?
No.
so then it's this element of trust is not universal. There are people who can say, then trust me, say if I say something I would want, but they don't trust me dancing, right? They don't trust me and that's okay. We have to understand as people and as government leaders that people are not expected to love us for all things what they do. Other people, they don't like me style, they don't like me dada, they don't like what they wear, they want for my wear suits, they want for mine to wear sneakers. But that's on them. That's not, it's not affecting my output. So with government, and the way I think about government is, it's okay for many people to get opinion of what is not okay, and it's our responsibility to communicate what we're doing to people. And I think what is not okay is when we tarnish people their name, when we lie, when we give misinformation and disinformation. That's not okay, and we have to correct that. So my approach is really, and to everybody, is just constant communication.
I will ask you of the official, the lifestyle. You know, most times I listen to you when you talk, where you give the vote of thanks or so during the conversation where these oath taking will take place in our State House. And one thing you say is the unusual of seeing young people in cabinet, see a man we get dreadlocks serving as chief minister. What does that mean for the country and young people where they look up to now, in their own, with their own aspirations?
I think the thing where I don't see globally, not just alone, Africa and the world, like the young people they're glad for this position here, past how me, mama and papa have glad for this position here. And I think that's something I don't take lightly. And in many ways, I mean, and I mentioned this in my book, it's actually, there's a line is that I did in the book say something around, we dream of a day when people can choose to show up and be how they want to be. Mm-hmm. We can show up, but we are showing up to please other people. I'll tell you something. One day, President Buno asked me about me dada. One day, President Buno make comments, not to joke comments, Seth, make. And when you have a leader who allows his people to show up how they choose to be, that inspires and opens up it allows them to be the best and to deliver the best. And if you look at the government, I think now we get maybe 2 people or 3 people get that government. The Deputy Minister of Health definitely has. And I thought there was somebody else. But it's not, it doesn't matter. Like, we know they count how many people they get to loan. Mm-hmm. If we know they count how many people they get to loan, that government, how many people they count how many people they get that. And I think what President Bio has done is to choose a diverse set of people who are technical in very real ways to deliver what they do. And it's a blessing that we have a leader who does that, because then what he did then means all them people in the streets, all them people that we've been feeling say you for this certain type of way, for talk certain type of way, for dress certain type of way, it changes their perspective. So his appointment not just is good for him, but it's changed what society's perception is and perspective is.
You still ever continue for do your songs, Sam?
They rap. They rap.
Phoebe,
they wait for Drizzle Leak. If they watch this, I want me to feature me. You know, the person, by the way I like these days, now half digger. I think is really good. Compound. Only where they sleep like compound. But I think is that we have to celebrate the culture, which is why I was so happy yesterday that Ministry of Tourism is focused on culture. Culture and arts and the creative industry is so rich that it's our responsibility to support them and to be there. I don't rap from where I'm not 10 years old, so my continue to rap.
So you want to level to one rap?
No matter rap.
Finally, I will ask you, President and the State of Plain announced the setting up of a committee, for review the ECSL. Is that something that has started already?
Well, just to correct, a small correction, it's not to review ECSL, it's to review the entire electoral monitoring bodies and processes, and that's an important distinction. And somebody been asked about me and VP. Yesterday, VP they go from both me and they talk. Me and VP they talk. Me and VP and president, we talk. It's one, like a team. VP is my boss. President is my boss. That's it. There's no in between. And the vice president is leading on this, and he will come back to the people when he's ready. And he's actively working on it, that I can assure the people of this country. That not to talk no more President Bill talk and we're not waste time. The VP is chairing it and he's leading this.
Hopefully we'll get you now some other time, but at this time, which message you want left with Salon? Before you say that, I wanted to ask about the 100 days plan. Is that something that is already there, the 100 days plan?
Yes, it's something that's there, and it's something that will keep delivering and etching on. And by the end of the 100 days, we will list all the things that you will see them. Check.
When it become public?
Well, so there are two parts to it. There's one where we can tell you what we're going to do in 100 days. And there's another one when at day 99 we say, here's everything we did in 100 days, right? And I think government will decide on an approach for that. But we have a plan and we're doing it and we're actively working on it. In terms of my message to Salon people, now I vote for President Bill, because of his manifesto and because of his commitment we get. Not all man votes for President Bill, but today President Bill now in the help lead we country for the next 5 years. Electing an opposition, electing a media, electing a citizen, we just sit down na us. The importance of what we know say the country can go on before. Not to President Bill no more, not to this government no more. But it requires you within the house, it requires opposition, it requires somebody within an ordinary citizen, CSO, because where the country make and we achieve we medium-term goal of 2035 maybe, and a country with the middle income, that by 2028 we know the import rest and yabas, we know go import anything and we food secure. Without it happening, now we all go benefit. Now we all life go rise, and now we all go continue to enjoy democracy and justice and peace. So me message to me Fambulem now that this time may we come together as a people, no matter what I even vote for, no matter what you believe. You don't need to like you, but you need to like yourself and you begin the future. Now that for make you not go pay bribe. Now that for make you not go if you're not a teacher, you not take money in people they hand even though not free. Now that for make if you're not a healthcare person, you attend to people then we can. Now that for make you not for go misuse public facilities. You not thief light. You pay your ETSA bill. If you're in a private sector, you pay your tax. If you're not a government worker, you show up and you do what you do. When that happens, this country I go before. And I'm really, really glad here. And I want to tell President Bill thank you for the amazing team we done put together for help we as a country for delivering our goals.
What you go say to now within our point?
So we wouldn't know our points, then check, then track I don't begin going. We have to deliver, we will deliver. We have no excuses, as President Bill say. And when I pardon me, but I will cancel now for asking a question and for make sure they will deliver.
Well, thank you very much, Chief Minister, Dr. David Moinina Sengeh, for we join with this morning for talk to the public on what's in the plans and how we go about for deliver. And we all look forward for get food at the table. We're not imported by 2028.